Hello dear students, welcome back to yet another video from Vanita Vishram Innovation and Research Center. Myself Dr. Himanshu Thakkar, and today I'll be discussing with you regarding amalgamation and accounting for amalgamation as per Accounting Standard 14. Now, so far as this chapter is concerned, it is the part of the syllabus of second year BCom of VNSU third semester. Now, when we talk about amalgamation, numerous terms come in our mind like merger, acquisition, purchase of a business, takeover of a business, etc. etc. And it is quite common nowadays to have amalgamation, or we can say takeover of business, or ventures coming up together, doing the business together. There are numerous reasons for that and various advantages as well. Like when we do merger or amalgamation, when two businesses come up together, they work together, they reduce the competition, they capture greater market share, and they can effectively fight the other competitors. So this way amalgamation is a common practice that takes place in the business world. Just have a look at some of the examples I have tried to put in here. You can see here, Continental Airlines and United Airlines, they come up together and they formed United Airlines. Similarly, Idea and Vodafone, to fight the competition with Jio Mobile, they have come up together, they are working together, sharing their market capital structure as well as the market share. And when it comes to getting into a new market, then at that point also amalgamation is useful, wherein Walmart wanted to enter Indian market and it entered by taking over Flipkart business. Another example is when Axis Bank took over Freecharge, the mobile wallet, so that banking can be done through this wallet. Disney Hotstar, Jio Saavn, these are some of the examples about the amalgamation. And amalgamation is a very wide term. It includes various forms of business coming up together, doing business together. We'll see that in this slide, in this video itself. So in this video, I'll be giving you introduction regarding amalgamation, then definition, what do we mean in the amalgamation, what are the forms of amalgamation in their definitions, types of amalgamation, methods of accounting used for amalgamation, consideration, and finally, disclosures that a business has to put in their financial statements when they go through the amalgamation. Now let us try to understand the word amalgamation. What is amalgamation? So as I said previously, that amalgamation is two or more companies joined to form a new company. It can also be an absorption of one company by other. As I said previously, there are various forms of doing amalgamation, and these are the two commonly used terms for amalgamation, that when two or more companies come up together to form a new third company, that is amalgamation. And absorption is also part of amalgamation, wherein one company is being absorbed by the other company. Amalgamation thus includes all the three terminologies. It is amalgamation itself, it can be absorption, it can be external reconstruction, the business which is going on, which is already running, but to relaunch that business, that can be also termed as amalgamation. So let us now see some of the example. For instance, when A and B Limited, they come up together to form C Limited, then this way amalgamation is carried out. So let us try to understand the definitions or the types of amalgamation. Other type, that is when B Limited is absorbed in A Limited, then absorption can also be called amalgamation. It's a part of amalgamation. This is absorption. Then the third one is when Y Limited is started again or relaunched, or its structure is formed in such a manner that it is again starting the business, continuing the business in the name of X Limited, then this is also a form of amalgamation, and it is termed as external reconstruction. Now let us try to understand the terminologies that we use when we try to understand amalgamation. So first is transferor company, that is vendor company. So when a company is transferred the transfer company means the company which is amalgamated into another company, then that becomes a transferor company. So that is why we say vendor company. The company which is selling off its business, it is letting go of its existence after amalgamation, then that company becomes a transferor company. Then we have transferee company, that is the purchasing company. The company which is going to carry on the business after the procedure of amalgamation is termed as a transferee company. That is why we call the transferee company as the purchasing company. So transferee company means the company into which a transfer company is amalgamated. So now let us try to understand these two concepts in terms of an example. Suppose A Limited is taken over by B Limited. So B Limited is going to continue its business and A Limited's existence is going to end after this amalgamation procedure. So A Limited will become a transfer company, whereas B Limited, which is going to continue its business, will become the purchasing company or transfer company. So I hope you are clear with these two concepts. So let us now go further into the discussion. So let us just go through the example here. Suppose A and B Limited, they are amalgamated and a new company called C Limited is formed. So to term them, we can say A and B Limited are the transferor companies, whereas C Limited will become transferee company. So first you need to know the parties that are involved, the companies that are involved into amalgamation. Then we can focus on the accounting part of these two companies. So now when we talk about amalgamation, accounting is done, amalgamation for accounting purpose. So accounting is done assuming that the amalgamation is either in the nature of merger or it is in the nature of purchase. So these are the two broad categories we need to assume that the particular amalgamation has taken place. Because when it comes to amalgamation in the nature of merger, the accounting treatment and the preparation of accounts will differ as when you compare it when amalgamation is in the nature of purchase. Now let us try to understand them one by one. What do we understand by amalgamation in the nature of merger? Now as per accounting standard, for amalgamation in the nature of merger, there are 5 broad conditions which are mentioned, that in case the amalgamation has taken place, and these 5 conditions which I am going to speak right now, which I am going to display right now, if all the 5 conditions are fulfilled, then we can say that the amalgamation has taken place in the nature of merger. But in case one or more than one condition is broken, is not fulfilled, then we can say that amalgamation is in the nature of purchase. Now let us just have a look at the conditions. So amalgamation in the nature of merger is an amalgamation which satisfies all the following conditions. Which are the conditions? First is all the assets and liabilities of the transferor company become after amalgamation the assets and liabilities of the transferee company. So one whose business is going to end should transfer all its assets and liabilities to the one who is purchasing the business or who is going to continue the business. Shareholders holding not less than 90% of the face value of equity share of transferor company become the equity shareholders of the transferee company by virtue of amalgamation. In short, the shareholders of the transferor company at the end of amalgamation should become the shareholders of the transferee company. That is the second condition. Let us go ahead. The third condition is the consideration for the amalgamation receivable by those equity shareholders of the transferor company who agree to become the equity shareholder of the transferee company is discharged by the transferee company only by the issue of shares in the transferee company, except that cash may be paid in respect of any fractional shares. So third condition is simple, that whenever a transferor company is getting into amalgamation with the transferee company, the shareholders of the transferor company should get the new shares of the transferee company to which the transferor company is getting into. And for any fractional shares, the cash may be given, but it is expected that, let us just try to understand this third point in our example itself. A Limited and B Limited are two companies. A Limited is taken over by B Limited or absorbed by B Limited, so that A company's shareholders should get the shares of B company up to the amount possible. If for any fractional amount which cannot be given in terms of full shares, then in that case cash can be given for any fractional shares. The business of the transferee company is intended to be carried on after the amalgamation by the transferee company. This is also important conditions that when amalgamation is taking place or as has taken place, after amalgamation the transferee company must continue its business and should not stop the business. This is also important condition to make sure that the amalgamation is in the nature of merger. And the last is, no adjustment is intended to be made to the book values of the assets and liabilities of the transferor company when they are incorporated in the financial statements of the transferee company, except to ensure uniformity of accounting policies. So very simple, last condition is that whenever the amalgamation has taken place, the shares, the values of the assets and liabilities which are taken over by the transferee company from transferor company should take the values of assets and liabilities as it is in its books. It should not change any of the amounts. So that is the last point. So if all the 5 conditions are fulfilled, then we can say that amalgamation is in the nature of merger. Now what will happen if it is not fulfilled? So as I have explained you, there are 5 conditions. If any one or more are not fulfilled, see, if all the 5 are fulfilled, it is a merger. If one or more are failed to be fulfilled or we are not able to satisfy all the 5 conditions, then it will become amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So amalgamation in the nature of purchase is an amalgamation which does not satisfy any one or more of the conditions specified under the nature of merger. So I hope now we are very clear with the concept of amalgamation in the nature of merger as well as amalgamation in the nature of purchase. Now let us see how accounting differs in terms of amalgamation in the nature of merger and purchase. So when we say amalgamation in the nature of merger, the accounting method that we use is called pooling of interest methods, whereas when we say amalgamation is the nature of purchase, we use the accounting method that is called purchase method. So now let us see this method, pooling of interest method. So what we do in pooling of interest method is basically pool the assets and liabilities together. So that is why we term it as pooling interest method. So what we do is assets, liabilities and reserves of the transferor company, the company which is not going to continue its existence. The assets, liabilities and reserves of the transferor company, or we can say vendor company, are transferred or recorded in the existing amounts in the same form as the date of amalgamation in the balance sheet of the new company or the company which is going to continue, or we can say the purchasing company or transferee company. So this is the first point, that assets, liabilities and reserves should be recorded as the values mentioned in the balance sheet itself, and the balance of profit or loss of the transferor company, if any, is to be again recorded, aggregated with the corresponding balance of P&L which is there in the transferee company's balance sheet. If it is not there, then it is to be transferred to general reserve. These are the 2 points that you need to remember when you solve the sum. Now, the difference between the amount recorded as share capital issued plus any additional consideration in the form of cash or any other form and the share capital of the transferor company is adjusted in reserves in the financial statements of the transferee company. Now, how accounting or why accounting is to be done when it is amalgamation in the nature of merger and we are using pooling of interest method. So what we do is we compare 2 things. One, what are the new shares, the value of new shares issued to the shareholders of the transferor company, the company which has lost its existence. The shareholders of that company are given new shares of the transferee company. That is the first thing that you need to just check in the example, and then you have to compare those shares with the existing shares of the transferor company, existing shares of the shareholders of the transferor company. So new shares issued minus whatever shares were there in the hands of the shareholders of transferor company. So you need to compare these 2 share capitals or the amounts to go ahead in the sum of merger, wherein you are using pooling of interest method. So what happens is share capital issued that is plus any other amount given in form of cash or any other consideration, minus the existing share capital of the transferor company. So whatever is given in addition to the existing share capital, it is to be transferred to general reserve, that is deducted from general reserve. Because for the company which is going to continue its business, adjusted in the reserves of the transferee company. So transferee company which is going to continue its business must transfer this amount, the difference of the two, to its general reserve in the balance sheet. Let us go ahead. Now we talk about the purchase method. We have already discussed pooling of interest method. Now we talk about the purchase method. Now what happens in purchase method is assets and liabilities of the transferor company, either they are incorporated at their existing carrying amounts or they may be written at the market value. Now when we have to take which amount? If in the example they don't mention anything, then we have to take the amounts which are given in the balance sheet. If they give the new values in adjustments or market values, then we have to use the new values. So when we talk about merger, in pooling of interest method, you don't have to look at the market values. You have to just look at the balance sheet values. You have to take as it is in the new balance sheet. But when it comes to purchase method, you have to either take the balance sheet values or the values which are given in the adjustments. If nothing is mentioned in adjustment, you take this values. If it is given in the adjustment, you must take the new values or the values given at the market values. So you need to take this into consideration if it is given in the example. In case of the absence of this, you can take this, but this way you have to mention the values of assets and liabilities in the new balance sheet, that is balance sheet of the transferee company. P&L account and balance, P&L account balance of transfer company, whether it is debit or credit, loses its existence. Means P&L account balance is not to be transferred in the balance sheet of transferee company. Transferor accounts P&L account loses its existence. And now we talk about the reserves. Now when we talk about reserve of transferor company, there are two categories of reserves that we need to focus on. First is there can be reserves other than statutory reserves, and there are statutory reserves. Now what is the difference between the two? Now statutory reserves are those reserves which are meant for a specific purpose. They are statutory in nature as per the law, as per accounting guidelines or company guidelines. They're statutory, they're important, they are having some name. For any other type of general reserves, not very specific or which are not statutory, they are termed as reserves other than statutory reserves. Now how to record these reserves, or how the recording of these two reserves will differ in terms of the purchase method. See, when we talk about the pooling of interest method, both are to be recorded as it is for the transferor company, but in purchase there is some difference to be maintained while we record the values of reserves. So what we have to do is, reserves other than statutory reserves are not to be included in the financial statements of the transferee company, whereas statutory reserves are to be included in the financial statements of the transferee company. This is very important point. This bifurcates the way we record the reserves in the books of transferee company in terms of merger, in terms of purchase. So when we are preparing balance sheet after amalgamation and it is in the nature of purchase, then you have to remember that reserves other than statutory reserves should not be written of the transfer company in the balance sheet, whereas the statutory reserves should be included in the balance sheet of transferee company that belongs to transferor company. So now consideration. Now in merger method we compare two things to know the amount to be transferred to general reserve. Which two things we compared? The new share issued minus the existing share capital of transferor company. Now in terms of purchase we compare two things again, but what do we compare? The first thing, that is consideration here, means aggregate of the shares and other securities issued and the payment made in the form of cash or other assets by the transferee company to the shareholders of the transferor company. So we have to consider whatever we have given as consideration. So in simple words, it is the price payable by the transferee company to the transferor company for taking over the business of the transferor company. So it does not include the sum which is which the transferee company will directly pay to the creditors of the transfer company. So if the consideration is not equal to net assets, now as I explained you right now, just few minutes back, that in merger method, in pooling of interest method, you compare two things. Number one, the shares that you issued and the shares which were existing in the hands of the shareholders of the transferor company. Now here you are not going to compare the share capitals in purchase method, you are going to compare the consideration, that is whatever you have given minus net assets, what you are getting in the form of net asset. I hope you already know net asset. Net asset is assets minus liabilities taken over by the transferee company. Now what will happen if it is not equal? So if consideration is more than the net asset, the difference will be considered as, can you guess? Difference will be considered as goodwill. Why goodwill? You are paying more. You are paying more amount to the new to the company which you are taking over, and you are getting less amount of assets. Why you are accepting less amount of asset? Because that business is having its goodwill. For example, if Walmart takes over Flipkart, Flipkart itself is very famous in India. So other than the assets of Flipkart, the company which is buying, that is Walmart, must pay more amount, and that will be because of goodwill of Flipkart. I hope you are getting the point here. So consideration, if it is more than the net asset, the excess amount which is to be considered as goodwill, and it will be recorded in books as goodwill. Whereas in the opposite case, where net asset is more than consideration. If net asset is more than consideration, means you are paying less to the company which you are taking over, and you are getting more of the assets. Now in that case, you are at a situation where you are making a profit which is of capital nature. So the difference is to be transferred to, capital reserve. So excess of net asset value credited is to be transferred to capital reserve. It will be shown in the balance sheet under reserves and surplus as capital reserve. So this is how you have to carry out your calculation before you actually prepare a balance sheet. So we move to the last point, disclosures. Apart from the financial statements that you prepare for the transferee company, there are certain disclosures to be made. So these are the disclosure in both the natures of amalgamation. The names and general nature of the business of amalgamating companies should be mentioned, effective date of amalgamation for accounting purposes, the method of accounting used to reflect the amalgamation, and particulars of the scheme sanctioned under a statute, the amount of any difference between the consideration and value of net asset acquired. So these are the things to be mentioned. Now we talk about this specifically in case of pooling interest method. What you have to mention is there should be description and number of shares issued and difference between consideration and net asset acquired. In case of purchase method, you describe description of consideration paid or payable and the treatment thereof, including period of amortization of goodwill. So this is basically theory part. You don't have to use any of these points in terms of solving the sum when it comes to examination, but this is just for general understanding regarding accounting standard, that what are the disclosures to be made. Okay, so I've tried to cover up amalgamation in this video, and I've tried to explain you what is amalgamation, what are the ways of doing amalgamation, and when we understand that there are merger and purchase two methods, how do we carry out the accounting and we prepare a new company's balance sheet, or we can say transferee company's balance sheet. This is what I have tried to explain in this video. I hope you like this video. So please hit the like button and share with your friends. Okay, see you in the next video. Thank you so much till then.